Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Turn Right Machine Works. My name is Keith, and here we are back on our pickup tube. And this is shortening your pickup line, part 2. Alright, I'm going to get ready and we're going to stick this into the bender here. And we went ahead and we made our secondary roller. We cut ourselves a couple new pins. And we made another round slug that will go over here for the main locking support. Let me bring you in close while we're setting this up, and then we're going to go into the plasma cutter and cut a couple horseshoe pieces that we're going to weld to the side of the locking piece. Okay, with this out of the way here. Now, this is just a round slug so that we had material that would locate onto this pin. And with the pin coming down here and down into that lower one, we're able to have a removable piece, because we wouldn't be able to weld two cradles on here and to the pin. So we got to have a piece that we can drop in here, and then it can float and it can be adjustable for any height that we want. But for right now, we're just going to make 2 half moon pieces that are going to go on each side of here, which will go ahead and give support for the tube, so that we're not a single contact point, and we don't want to put a dimple when this is being pulled around. We can't just have a single contact here. We want to get a whole purchase of all the way around there, and we won't be marring up the tube, and we'll be holding it sufficiently. Alright, now let's come around to this side. Alright, with that pushed in there nice and tight like that, we can slide this roller in here. There's about, I don't know, 30-40 thousandths in between the two rollers there, so we are hitting down into the root pretty good. It is pretty snug to get this pin in there, so we're holding, we're against that nice and tight. All right, and then this will roll right around like that. Now we couldn't just pull this around because we don't want to take a chance on dimpling the backside tube. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the plasma cutter now, and we're going to cut 2 pieces that will go around that back side there. Alright, so let's head on into there. Okay, I drew my horseshoe pieces out in here, and we kind of placed them to where this piece of the corner of this pipe, this was a pipe ring here that we cut out, and a flange. And anyway, we're going to cover this up with our cover, and we put the covers over our openings to create more draft at the cut point, so that we maximize the amount of draw there. Alright, so we're going to pick this little area right here to cut. Alright, I'm going to bring you in closer so you can actually watch that cut. Okay, this is 3/8 plate, and I'm giving it a shot at 35 inches a minute. Alright, here we go. Let me get some air. Okay, we'll have to change the setting, and anybody know what that setting was? The setting we need to change is the start, or the time to pierce. Alright, that may tap out, but it should fully pierce the material before it comes in and starts cutting around. Alright, we're going to cut the next one, but we're going to change that setting. Both got pretty good finishes all the way around. I knocked a little bit of dross off the back side. There was a little bit. You can see this pierce here was the one that we had the slow action on it. This was the other side here. Now the reason why sometimes it doesn't want to pick up the contact is the hot facing that's on the metal, on thicker metal. Sometimes you actually got to grind that a little clean, but also too our torch top there might be a little dirty as well. But most of the time it's that mill scale that's on that material. But I think we're going to be doing good. We're going to go check these in with the pipe, and we're going to just do a little sanding and dressing, and we'll go in there and weld these in place. Okay, we're giving this a go. We have our two little blocks in here next to our piece, and we have 1/2 inch shim under each one of those. Our ground is on here. We're going to be using our TIG, so we're not going to be creating splatter, so I'm not going to bother covering up the mill ways or anything else. And we're going to be maintaining right in here. I'm going to use 70S. It's just high grade coat hanger. And I'm just going to go ahead and reach in here, and I'm just going to try to get a tack in here right now. Alright, just want to check that on the film. Okay, we'll put a tack at the bottom now. We'll just go ahead and we'll run this one up. Alright, I moved the pin and the roller out of this side over here so that I could get the right angle here, and I think this is going to work here. I'm going to do a tack on the very top just like we did on the other side. You get that, okay? Alright, looks like we got that welded on there. Okay, I'm going to put away my leads, foot pedal and ground there, and let that cool down a little bit. We'll come back in and we're going to see if we can put a bend on that. Okay, I wasn't really sure where to put you as far as the camera going, because over here, and then I would be in the way because I'm going to be pulling. I think I'm going to be on this side here, but then I got to looking at look at how much you're getting to see there. You know, it's see where you're going or see where you've been. Kind of like riding in a boat, either looking out the bow or looking off the stern there. All right, I don't know if we have to wait for this to be much cooler. I can almost hold my hand on there, so we might as well find out if we're gonna get this to move any. And I'm gonna take and I'm just drawing a Sharpie line on the thing, which is not really working real well. All right, let's see if we can put a bend in here. And I am able to put a bend in here. It is pushing just a little bit, but we got some of that angle coming out of there, and maybe a little bit of leading force here. little tiny bit of flattening on this surface right here, but we're keeping it pretty round. That almost looks like the angle. You know, I tell you, it did pretty good, although we probably should have filled it up with some sand. We could have done that. That did support it really nice right there. It didn't deform it there at all. All right, that's looking pretty close to that angle right now. All right, with that straight there, that's showing us that we are about halfway in between there. Okay, I'm going to take a saw cut across here so I can eliminate this part over here, and then I'll be able to fill this up with sand. We're getting a little bit of collapsing in here, and we still need to bring that around about half again, as much as we did right there. We're holding pretty good shape. It's not drastically reducing that down. It's not collapsing the tube, but I want to maintain a little bit more of that fatness in there. We just went in the plasma room. Okay, we cut this off and we dressed this in here, and we went ahead and we took a piece of 1 inch. When we went in here, we kind of took a little bit of that out, but we're not going to fuss with it too much. I think it looks pretty good. We burned out a flange for that end that we can bolt on, and we went ahead and burned out a 1 inch disc that we can go ahead and tack weld to that end. Okay, so we're going to go find a couple bolts here. We're going to go tack that end on there, and then we're going to go fill this thing up with sand 100%. We're going to pack it in there. We're going to ramrod that sand in there really hard. And then we're going to come back and put it in the bender and see if we can't get the rest of that bend without distorting this anymore. Okay, I went down to my garden, and if you dig down about 16 inches, we got Cape Cod sand. Okay, it's even starting to get pretty good. My soil, I've been working my soil in that garden for, well, since 97, 98. Okay, we got that tack welded on there. We have the flange cut out, and I got the bolts and a couple wrenches to tighten that up. I have a piece of bronze to use like a ramrod. So first off, we're just going to go ahead and get some sand down in there and get it right around the corner. Okay, and make sure we get it nice and packed in there. And we might have a blood blister there tomorrow. This is wet sand. I didn't have the luxury of dry sand. Otherwise, dry sand just like pours in and almost packs up instantly, but at least we know that the pipe's not going to be collapsing any more than it is. And I mean, we're almost there on the bend anyway. It's just that we see it and we know better, or we look at it and then we know what we didn't do. Okay, we're going to put it up here in the vise. Okay, I'm going to call that full. Okay, there we go. We're ready to put that in the bender now. It does feel a little heavier now that it has packed on sand, and it doesn't sound so hollow and tinny. All right, so our first pin goes in here. Okay, and that cradles and that rocks it. That rocks it in there. There we go. All right. Now let's see if we can. Yeah, I can still get a little bit more out of that. All right, and well, she's holding pretty good. Just need to make that angle over here. All right, we're gonna go a little bit more. Okay. All right, we're gonna hold that up and we're gonna check it. Okay, we're set on the angle. All right, we're matching that angle pretty damn good, and we maintain that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and pop that loose there, and then we're gonna sweat off the flange there. Okay, that is looking really nice. All right, so that's where the flange is there when it was going straight in that direction there. Of course, it actually, this pipe comes in at an angle. See that? Comes in at an angle when it's the short section there. And this will, we're gonna sweat that off. We're gonna sweat this piece off of here, and we're gonna sweat that off of there now. That's gonna be our next job. Then we can go ahead and take these two components and find our vertical, find out where we want to put the sleeve, and then cut this to height, and then have that so it slips on there, and then I think we'll be ready to run down to the marina for a fit. All right, we got the first piece in the vise here. I brought my channel lock over so I can just grab a hold of this here where I got some leverage. Okay, and I'm just gonna heat the band instead of heating the tube. And I'm not gonna just yank on it. I want to make sure that I'm heated up completely so that the silver solder breaks loose and I don't deform anything. Okay, the rest of that we'll clean off of there with a little whizzy wheel. Okay, I'm going to see if I can sweat this ring off of here. Okay, I'm gonna cut that, okay, and then I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna bore out the piece on the end. We got to shorten this thing up almost an inch, and I don't want to take a chance on damaging that pickup. That's a really nice pickup there. Draw the line, know when you can get it and when you can't get it. Okay, and we might have to do that with the flange too, but we're gonna give it a shot here. All right, put this down to cool down. This here, we got some thicker material here, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna see if we can heat the tube on the inside. It's like an exhaust pipe over here. That sand. You know what? We're gonna have to cut that one as well. I don't want to bend, kink, or destroy that tube. That shows you how you have to get this molten hot and that molten hot there for that silver solder to melt and take hold. And you know, that thing was glowing red right here, so you could almost silver solder exhaust piping. With that said, we're gonna let that cool down, and we're going to go ahead and cut them loose. We're going to cut that right behind that flange, and we're going to set that flange up and just bore it out till we get to the size tube, and then we'll be able to slip it on there. We don't want to go this far and destroy that tube.